You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, and this is BalaCore Fitness Show. I am your host for the day, Rael Andrews. It's your 24/7 success coach, and my co-host is Deanna Miller from Stark Social.
Hello.
Hi. We're filling in for Ellen Como and Danny Lou. Ellen is actually starting something very exciting today. She's in a woman's pageant, and so we're excited for her. We're cheering her on. And we got a lot of exciting things to talk about today. But first I want to tell you, don't forget to download your KHTS app, because it's a very powerful thing. You can watch
Super
it at any
handy.
time. And where should we start, Deanna?
Oh gosh, let's just start about talking about where we got started. So we've been working together now for a few months on some fitness related goals that I've had. And I was really frustrated and just I tried so many different things, everything out there, like I'm going to go to the gym by myself and I'm just going to do stuff, and then you lose your motivation and you don't find your why. And that's really, the core messaging that you delivered to me was that how do you find the reason why you get started in your fitness journey? And it's brought us to BalaCore together, and
Yes.
it's amazing. So, maybe you can share with us, because I already know how you did it for me, but maybe you can talk a little bit about that why and where you helped me get my why.
Absolutely. And what Deanna's talking about is what I call your purpose or your why. I've been doing this over 30 years, and I realized really quickly that, helping somebody to train or work out is really not the issue. It's keeping them on track, and it's establishing that why, because most people come to a fitness place to get in shape because they found themselves out of shape. And the reality of the situation is, if their goal is to lose weight or get ready for a fitness show or to put on some lean muscle or whatever, when the going gets tough, and it will get tough really
Totally
quick,
gets
probably
tough.
the moment you walk out the door, adversity is going to hit you. You're going to quit, because you already quit. So your goal is why you're at the gym. So what I want to do with people is I want to establish their purpose and their why. And as you remember, what we do, and sometimes I'll spend hours with a person, because when I can lock them into that, and really for me, when I can bring them to tears, if you remember, you got to the point where I said, that's it.
Yep.
And all you got to do is always remember that when the going gets tough. And what we're talking about, I'll give you a quick example. I call it peeling the onion, and anybody can do that, and I'll just call it the why game. You say, hey, I'll give you an example of a young, high school football player that I was working with once. And he had dreams to go on to play in the NFL and in college and stuff. And I sat down with him and I said, so why do you want to get a scholarship? And he looked at me like I was an idiot. He said, what do you mean? Because I want to play football. And I was like, why? Basically, we dug it right down to the point where his why was because he grew up with a single mom who sacrificed everything for him, 3 or 4 jobs so that he could play football. And his why was he wanted to be a successful football player so that one day he could drive up to his mom's house, put a blindfold around her eyes, get her in this car that was now going to be her first real car, drive her to her house, which was her mansion, take off the thing. And let me tell you something, nothing ever got in that kid's way, because that was strong. That's a strong purpose.
No, it's just so powerful, because I do remember the first time that we met, we shared a story with each other. I didn't know what your history was, you didn't know what my history was, and it was really that we bonded over an experience, you with your mother, me with my mom, me with my son, being a mom, and it broke down that wall, because sometimes you get stuck behind a wall of excuses and things that you put in front of you, and I had made so many excuses, and I've come to know so many people who, just through sharing what you've shared with me, has helped them to maybe not necessarily find their why yet, but they're on the road to it. And as soon as I figured out what my purpose was, and that being to be healthy for my son, so that I could always be there for him, for my monkey, and take care of him, then it was just absolutely, we've been full steam ahead, and great progress, amazing things have been happening. So
Now, how much weight have you lost?
I have lost 35 pounds.
Wow, that is amazing.
In a very quick amount of time, it seems.
and how many times since we've been together have I thrown out the monkey nugget?
Oh, a
to
couple
remind
times.
you,
Oh,
right?
a couple times every time we see each other.
Yeah, because then it works.
And it gets tough, but as soon as you start to envision that purpose, if you're a mom or a dad, if you have those kids, and that's your purpose, to be healthy for them, to be able to play with them, to run with them, to be there, then it's just something that's just so powerful. If I'm running, if we're doing something, if I'm lifting, whatever it is, I just picture him in my head and his, big goofy grin and his happy smile and his cheering. And, that was one of the reasons, when we got started, I brought him along with me as much as I could so that he could see me making improvements and making big choices to change my life and my health. And that's been so important.
And I'll never forget the first time we worked out, he was there. We got that video, remember?
Yeah.
And he
Mom,
goes, I love you, Mom.
Mom.
You got this. And really, that's really what it's about, And your purpose could be anything from your kids to obesity, breaking that chain in your family,
Right.
all kind of things. But, that's really, really important to establish that first and foremost. And you'll have great success at anything that you do.
Absolutely.
So, we got some exciting things to talk about coming up, more stuff to help you with your goals and everything.
Lots.
And you are listening to your hometown station on AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Rael Andrews, your 24/7 success coach, and this is Deanna Miller, my co-host. You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to the BalaCore Fitness Show. I am your host, Rael Andrews, your 24/7 success coach, and my co-host is the beautiful, and she is stunning, Deanna Miller from Stark Social.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm just calling it like it is. So, you were saying, you wanted to take this opportunity to, when we talked about the show, just ask me questions that people like to ask. So why don't we just start there? What's on your
Yeah,
mind?
absolutely. So I think this is a really unique opportunity because we're both so busy doing what we do that we don't have a period of time where we can just sit down and just talk about some things. So I actually asked some friends what they were concerned about, what kinds of things they would ask you if they had 20 minutes of your time. So one of the things that kept coming up was there's a lot of articles out there. There's a lot of blog posts and things like, what am I supposed to do? What is my metabolism? What is it? People are like, oh, I have to find ways to boost my metabolism. So, what is your metabolism? Like, what's the deal with that? How do we?
Yeah, that's a big one, and it's really important. And we could do 12 hours of shows on this. So, let's just say I'm going to try to bullet point some of the things for the purpose of time, some key things. But let's if they go to my Facebook.com/Rael Andrews, all my name, we'll post some articles later that they can read in more depth to help them out.
Awesome.
But basically, your metabolism is your burn rate. Really simple. Okay, and it's like whether you're trying to maintain your weight or lose weight or gain weight, if you're an athlete, muscle, it's really not rocket science. If you want to lose weight, you got to eat less than you got to burn more than you're taking in.
Right.
Okay. If you want to gain weight, you got to eat more than you're burning. If you want to maintain, you got to maintain whatever your burn rate is.
Right.
And there's all kind of scientific equations. BMR is very popular, but if I was to do my BMR, it's going to say I'm morbidly obese because it doesn't take into the fact that I'm 210 pounds now because of BalaCore and my new little thing I've been doing. Yay! We'll talk about that later. So one of the things, because I'm very scientific.
Right.
But I like to keep it simple for my clients. Now, this Fitbit Surge, I highly recommend it. I've tried a lot of different heart rate monitors and different watches. There's a lot of cool things.
Yeah, me too.
But this really simplifies it because it's really going to calculate. It's going to help you to know exactly how much calories you need to eat or not eat, where you're sleeping, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But a couple specific things. Number one is strength training. Okay?
Right.
Huge, because really what we want to do is build lean muscle. Because the majority of people, let's be real, are trying to lose weight. So let's focus on that, okay?
Yes.
And the biggest problem with women is they're afraid of lifting heavy. They think they're going to get big like Coach or, big, bulky, and it couldn't be the farthest thing from the truth.
Right.
The last thing we want to be doing, love her, but we don't be needing to do the Jane Fonda bouncing around with 2-pound weight workouts.
It's so
okay? you want to lift heavy, One of the things I love about BalaCore, on a side note with that strength training is You know, for example, I can, you know, deadlift 500 pounds. Yesterday we were doing deadlift. On the BalaCore, I could barely do 50 pounds.
Yeah, you were right there with
Right?
me struggling.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now we're not only building good strength and building lean muscle, but we're also, you know, fixing stuff and building a good core. You know, hydration is key. You want to make sure you're hydrated. I see so many people, especially nowadays, this big thing is getting in these really hot classes and hot yoga and hot spin, which I love, and, you know, boxing in, you know, hot rooms and crazy things. That's great, but you need to stay hydrated. And hydration isn't just water. You
Right.
need to replace those electrolytes, those antioxidants. You know, a big thing too, cardio, okay? That's, to me, a biggest mistake that people make. They do tons and tons and tons of cardio.
Right, and that's where I was at.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm running every day and I'm stuck.
Yeah. And
Right.
you want to look at, you know, just look at the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
You can walk in these gyms, you see the same people on the same cardio machine all the time. Have they changed? You can go back to some of these gyms 3-4 years later and they're still there on the same machine. They ain't changed.
Right, that was me before I met you.
So you want to do some cardio, believe
Right.
it or not, at really low, and you want to do high intensity cardio. You know, I always say to my clients, you know, if you ever watch the Olympics, you look at the sprinters. Have you ever seen a fat sprinter? No. They're
No.
lean because that's their kind of training. They train heavy and they do sprints.
Right.
You know, so whether you're doing spinning, boxing, whatever cardio you're doing, you know, you do bursts. You know, where you get the heart rate up, get it back down, recover. You know, another thing is don't starve yourself. That's huge. People get in that mindset. You know, look where you were when we first met. Oh, I got to eat 1,200 calories. What? They eat more than that in Zimbabwe. You don't need to be eating 1,200 calories. That's put you in a starvation mode. You need to feed your body.
Right.
Every 2 or 3 hours, whatever works for you is huge.
Well, and the other thing too is that the protein, like you enlightened me about protein and the varieties of protein and where you can get the protein. It's not just, you know, grab a burger. That's not protein.
No.
You know, you've got to really make an effort, and it's a little bit extra work than simply just, you know, grabbing whatever's in front of you. But it's so easy. The protein was a huge tip that you gave me that made a big impact.
Well, yeah, and because what's happening when you're building lean muscle, the body needs protein and carbs too, by the way. Don't neglect the carbs. That's another big thing, especially in that 30-minute window. You need a good post-workout. You need high carbs. Most people think it's high protein,
Right.
but it's not. It's high carbs in that, you know, 30-minute window, and then you come back with the proteins. But the thing is, if you don't feed the muscles with the right amount of protein, the body has two jobs. One is to obey you and one is to protect you. It just obeyed you in that workout.
Right.
Okay? Now it needs to refuel and rebuild. If it doesn't get the right amount of thing, it's going to protect you. It'll shut you down in a starvation mode, but it still needs to go back to job number one and obey you, and it needs protein to do that. So where's it going to get it? It's going to eat your own muscles.
Right.
And that's why you see a lot of people, we call them skinny flabby. They, you know, you got those
Right,
friends, we
right.
all got this, they work out all the
Tons of
time.
skinny fat people
Yeah,
that I
and they're
know.
like, well, dude, you should be like a rock star, dude. You should be like The Rock or something, you know? But so those are really important, and I think there was one other one, that I wanted to talk about. No, I think we hit it all.
I think we got all
Ramp
the
up
really
your
important
intensity.
stuff.
You know, just be smart. And one thing I will say about protein, more is not better. Okay? You see these big protein shakes, 50 grams of protein in a serving. No, the body can only assimilate 25 grams of the protein. So more is always not better. You want the right amounts, okay?
Right. Read your labels.
Read your labels. A lot of sugars in some of those cheap proteins, right?
Scared me when I
Right?
saw what I had in my pantry.
Right? I mean, you only got one body. Let's treat it right. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so you are listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is the BalaCore Fitness Show. Rael Andrews and Deanna Miller will be right back.